Imagine a city built on water, not just beside it, but woven through it. Canals take the place of roads. Small wooden boats glide where cars would normally be. Stone bridges arch over the waterways, connecting one ancient lane to another. This is Suzhou, a city that lives and breathes with the rhythm of its canals. For centuries, these waterways have been its lifeblood. They carried goods, people, and stories. Water reflects whitewashed walls and green willow leaves along the banks. Suzhou is not just a city of water, it is also a city of silk. The two are deeply connected. Imagine the soft rustle of the fabric. Think of its smooth, cool touch against the skin. This is the magic of Suzhou silk, a treasure that has been perfected here over centuries. The process begins with a tiny creature, the silkworm. These small worms feast on mulberry leaves. It is a delicate and patient process. Local families have passed down this knowledge for generations. They know how to harvest the precious cocoons and unwind the continuous thread of silk. The story of Suzhou begins over 2,500 years ago, not with a blueprint, but with a vision. The year was 514 BC. A powerful ruler named Prince Guang ascended to the throne and became known as King Heilu. This was a time of conflict, during what historians call the Spring and Autumn period. To bring his vision to life, King Heilu summoned Wu Zixu, a brilliant strategist and master of engineering. Wu Zixu surveyed the fertile plains near Lake Tai, seeing a landscape blessed with abundant water. His design was a masterpiece, a grid of major canals creating a network of main thoroughfares. The choice to build on this watery plain was strategic. The network of canals and rivers provided formidable natural defense. These water gates were a unique innovation, enabling boats to enter and leave securely while reinforcing defense. The city was designed to live with water, not fight against it. Houses lined the water's edge with private docks. People would wash clothes, fetch water, and moor their boats. The canals were the main streets, bustling from dawn until dusk with merchants, fishermen, and families. Stone bridges were not just crossings, they were landmarks and meeting places where neighbors would stop to chat. In the 7th century, Emperor Yang ordered construction of the Grand Canal, a man-made river over 1,000 miles long. Suzhou sat perfectly on that southern route. Its sophisticated waterways could plug into the new national artery. Suddenly, Suzhou was more than regional. It became a key node in the empire's logistics. The city's economy transformed. Goods from across the country flowed through: rice, salt, and luxury items. Suzhou silk traveled along the famous Silk Road, reaching faraway lands and connecting the weaver's workshop to royal wardrobes. The Grand Canal became a conduit for culture, bringing officials, scholars, poets, and artists to Suzhou. As wealth poured into Suzhou, a new class rose to prominence: scholar officials, the intellectual elite of imperial China. They earned government positions by passing difficult exams testing their knowledge of literature, philosophy, and poetry. After serving in the often stressful world of politics, many chose to retire to Suzhou, celebrated for its beauty and refinement. These retired scholars used their fortunes to build homes that were more than houses, spaces for contemplation, art, and communion with nature. This desire gave birth to Suzhou's greatest treasures: the classical private gardens, personal sanctuaries hidden behind high walls, where the owner could cultivate his mind and spirit in peace, creating a microcosm of the universe. Designing a Suzhou garden was an art form, like painting a three-dimensional landscape scroll you could walk through. Rocks were the skeleton of the garden, spectacular, unusually shaped limestone often harvested from Lake Tai. Water was the lifeblood, the garden's beating heart, providing movement, sound, and reflection. Plants were the garden's flesh and clothing. Each plant carried symbolic meaning: pine for longevity, bamboo for integrity. Lotus represented spiritual purity rising from mud. Through carefully chosen flora, the garden became a living text, telling stories and conveying philosophical ideas through nature's beauty. Architecture provided human presence: pavilions, halls, corridors, and bridges, positioned to frame the most beautiful scenes. Moon gates acted as perfect frames, creating picture-like compositions throughout the garden. Each lattice window offered a different, perfectly composed picture of the garden outside. Life in the garden was a performance of elegance and culture: banquets in the main hall, music and art. Smaller studies were tucked into quieter corners where scholars might practice calligraphy or paint landscapes. The garden was a dynamic stage for literati life, embodying the classical Chinese ideal of poetic seclusion. The refined tastes of scholars and wealthy merchants created huge demand for high-quality decorative arts and crafts. Suzhou became famous for its intricate embroidery. Suzhou, one of the 4 great embroidery styles of China. A famous technique was double-sided embroidery, showing perfectly finished images on both sides with different colors and patterns. This culture of craftsmanship extended to furniture making. Ming Dynasty furniture known for simple, elegant lines and sophisticated joinery. They were especially known for sandalwood carving, creating folding fans that were essential accessories for any scholar. Even everyday objects like inkstones became art, with craftsmen carving miniature landscapes into the stone. While scholars secluded themselves in gardens, the rest of the city teemed with life along the waterways. Every morning, farmers from the countryside brought fresh vegetables, fish, and rice to bustling waterside markets. The air filled with sounds of vendors calling prices and residents bargaining from their doorsteps. The family boat was as essential as a horse or cart, used for visiting relatives, going to temple, or leisurely evening trips. The hundreds of stone bridges were central to social fabric, landmarks and meeting places with their own names and stories. This created a unique urban culture. Life lived at a slower, more human pace, fostering strong sense of community. During the Ming and Qing dynasties, Suzhou reached the absolute pinnacle as center for silk, the undisputed capital of silk production. The imperial court designated Suzhou as primary supplier for dragon robes, court gowns, and palace furnishings. The most successful silk merchants became fabulously rich, their fortunes rivaling highest-ranking officials. Suzhou's commercial districts were a hive of activity, especially around city gates with silk shops and weaving workshops. They developed specialized types like Kisi silk tapestry, so fine and detailed it resembled painting more than textile. Suzhou silk dominated domestic markets and entered international trade, carried by Portuguese, Dutch, and English ships. The foundation of Suzhou's silk empire rested on sericulture, cultivation of silkworms, a delicate science and art passed down through generations. In spring, carefully stored silkworm eggs were gently warmed to hatch. The tiny worms, known as ants, required constant care. For about a month, the silkworms did nothing but eat, growing at an astonishing rate while families provided constant fresh mulberry leaves. After molting several times, the large white worms would spin their cocoons, extruding continuous silk filaments that harden on contact with air. To harvest silk, cocoons were dropped in hot water, allowing the continuous thread to be unwound and combined with others. This precious thread was the fruit of months of labor, gathered into bundles and sold to merchants for urban workshops. Once raw silk arrived in Suzhou's workshops, the next stage of artistry began with dyeing using vast array of natural ingredients. For the most intricate brocades, a large draw loom required 2 people, weaver and flower puller working in perfect coordination. The fabrics they produced were astonishing. Multicolored brocades with dragons, phoenixes, and elaborate landscapes woven directly into fabric. Once woven, bolts were carefully inspected, graded, and packed for distribution across China and international markets. The finest pieces traveled north to Beijing's imperial court, while other grades reached merchants across China and international trade. This global reach connected the weaver's humble workshop to the wardrobes of kings and queens worldwide. In the mid-19th century, Suzhou's stable world was violently shaken by the Opium Wars and unequal treaties forcing China to open to foreign trade. European powers flooded Chinese markets with machine-made goods, cheaper cotton and silk produced in much larger quantities. This new competition was a severe blow. Many smaller weaving households were forced out of business. The Taiping Rebellion in the 1860s delivered an even more devastating shock when Suzhou was captured and occupied. Much of the city was burned, including famous gardens and silk workshops. Many skilled artisans were killed or fled. Slow recovery saw first attempts to modernize with steam-powered silk filatures, marking a shift from family craft to industrial process. The fall of the Qing dynasty in 1912 ended the imperial court, the industry's largest customer, causing catastrophic loss of orders. After 1949, the silk industry was reorganized under state control, focusing on mass production rather than artistic luxury. Economic reforms and tourism created new markets for traditional silk products, leading to revival of classical techniques. Today, government-supported institutes and workshops study and recreate complex techniques, with master artisans training new generations. Kesi weaving and double-sided embroidery continue, keeping old traditions alive for future generations. Suzhou's silk industry exists in two worlds: large modern factories and conscious efforts to preserve artistic heritage. When you arrive in Suzhou, the classical gardens call to you first, the city's soul expressed in stone, water, and plants. Among hundreds that once existed, 4 have been recognized by UNESCO for their exceptional beauty and historical importance. The most famous is the humble administrator's garden, the largest in Suzhou, a sprawling landscape of interconnected islands. A vast central pond covered with lotus flowers in summer. To walk here is to feel the grandeur of the Ming dynasty. The lingering garden is famous for masterful use of space, divided into 4 distinct sections with different themes. Home to one of the most celebrated Taihu rocks, the cloud-capped peak, embodying the scholar's aesthetic. The master of the Net's garden is the smallest of the 4 great gardens, considered by many the most perfectly proportioned and exquisite. In the evenings, it comes alive with traditional music and opera performances, offering magical glimpses into cultural life. The Blue Wave Pavilion is the oldest, dating back to the Song dynasty, with unique design integrating the garden with city moat water. After immersing yourself in classical masterpieces, the Suzhou Museum offers striking contrast, a work of art designed by I.M. Pei. Pei was born in Suzhou and drew inspiration from traditional aesthetics, blending modernist design with core garden elements. The perfect bridge between Suzhou's past and present, housing magnificent collections in a building that is itself a treasure. The city's true character is found along public waterways. 2 streets capture historic charm: Pingjiang Road and Shantang Street. Pingjiang Road has retained its traditional layout for over 800 years, with shops selling tea, silk, and local crafts. Shantang Street feels lively and bustling, built in Tang Dynasty, stretching toward Tiger Hill with bright lanterns reflecting on water. The best way to see a city of canals is from the water. Traditional hand-poled boats offer the most authentic experience. As you glide under bridges, you see into open doorways, watch daily life, and appreciate architecture from a new angle. Your boatman might sing a local folk song, echoing off stone and water, adding to the authentic experience. The surrounding countryside is dotted with smaller, equally charming water towns, offering concentrated glimpses into traditional life. Tongli, a short drive from Suzhou, is known for tranquility, built on 15 small canals and 7 islands connected by 49 bridges. Zhouzhuang, often called the #1 water town, is famous for preserved ancient houses and iconic double bridge. Tongli's main attraction is Tuisi Garden, Retreat and Reflection, a UNESCO site showcasing late Qing landscape design. Wander narrow alleys, see historic homes, and watch fishermen with cormorants demonstrating the authentic pace of water life. Sample local foods like Wansan pork knuckle in Zhouzhuang, completing the picture of a region where life flows with water. Suzhou is easy to reach by high-speed train from Shanghai or Nanjing, less than an hour from Shanghai with frequent departures. From the station, take taxis or metro to your hotel. For Watertown day trips, buses and private drivers are common. The old city is compact and best explored on foot or by boat, the slow, peaceful way to feel the city's rhythm. Best seasons are spring for willows and flowers, autumn for clear skies and mild weather. Summers are hot and crowded, winters quieter. In gardens and temples, keep voices low, don't step on plantings, and ask before photographing people up close. Try local food and show respect. Sample sweet osmanthus cakes and pan-fried pork buns on Pingjiang Road. Our journey through Suzhou has followed 2 shimmering threads: the dark, reflective waters of its canals and the bright, lustrous fibers of its silk. These are not separate stories. They are one and the same, woven together to create the soul of this enchanting city. The canals are the warp, shaping Suzhou's landscape and way of life for over 2.5 millennia. The gardens are poetry in stone and water, testament to a culture that prized beauty and contemplation, funded by silk trade prosperity. To wander these ancient waterways is to walk through a living history book, every stone bridge and whitewashed wall telling stories. From mulberry leaves transformed by patient artisans into fabric desired by emperors and kings worldwide. Suzhou has always been a city of duality, grand imperial ambition and quiet personal retreat, bustling commerce and serene artistic creation. It is the quiet splash of an oar, the rustle of silk, the taste of osmanthus cake, the feeling of peace in a scholar's garden, a reminder of a different pace of life finding beauty in subtlety and value in tranquility. We hope this journey inspired you to explore this remarkable city, to get lost in its watery maze and discover its hidden treasures. If you enjoyed this story, please give this video a like, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more journeys. Thank you for joining us on this exploration into the heart of history.